All right, I guess we'll get started. It's 12 o'clock. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carolyn McVicker. I'm with the Office of Wellness and Work Life. And each semester, we are lucky enough to serve as a site for the Coordinated Program in Dietetics student interns. And they are completing their community nutrition rotation. And so and we learned a lot from them, as well as them learning a lot about how we do a lot of our public health and nutrition education for our employees. This month we have Katie Hamner, and she's going to be talking to you about supermarket solutions for healthy living. This is a topic that Katie's very knowledgeable and passionate about, so I think she has a great presentation for you. I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to Katie.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. Hi, yes, I am Katie. I'm the senior at UA, and I'm on a track to become a registered dietitian. So as registered dietitians, we are considered to be the experts in everything food and nutrition. So you're getting a great presentation here on supermarket solutions for healthy living. So here are the objectives for this webinar, and this little quote that I like, weight loss and healthy eating is a journey that begins at the grocery store, which definitely I think pertains to this class right now. So before we begin, I think it's important to kind of understand the difference between these two terms because they do seem like they're interchangeable, but there is a little bit of a difference. Health is defined as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. So it's not just the absence of any type of disease or illness. Wellness, on the other hand, is the act of practicing healthy habits on a daily basis in order to attain better physical and mental health. So wellness is important in order to thrive instead of just surviving. So you cannot have health without wellness. So to put these two together, this webinar is going to be all about finding easy ways to make healthy choices in order to continue our practice of overall wellness. So preparing to go to the grocery store, preparing is always step one of anything we do, even if we don't realize we're doing it, because by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail, as Benjamin Franklin said. And here are a few ways you can prepare to go start your shopping trip, and I'm going to go over a few of these. So before we can think about what we're going to buy, we have to think about how much we're able to spend, and this budget can vary, obviously, from store to store. It can vary by what kind of shopping trip you're going on. Maybe you just need a few things. Maybe you need groceries as well as some necessities. So base your list off of your budget for this particular shopping trip. It may help to lay out a spreadsheet on the computer to kind of show you where you stand for how much you want to spend for the week. So once you have an idea of how much you're going to spend for this trip, you want to make a shopping list. Planning your meals will make a busy life much simpler. It will also help you to prevent, you from eating out or ordering in as often. It may help to prepare and pack your lunch for the work week, as well as to plan what you make for dinner. So taking the time to plan will make your shopping trip smooth and swift. Don't forget to buy between meals snacks. So snacking doesn't have to necessarily be unhealthy. A few that I like to buy are veggies and hummus, peanut butter crackers, fresh fruit. These will all just satisfy and keep you energized for the day. So for your shopping list, you'll want to stick to the items on this list and try not to be tempted to stray or splurge on anything else. It may be just a little bit here, a little bit there, but before you know it, you're over budget by maybe like $100. which is not good. So an exception maybe to this rigid shopping rule may just be that you realize you forgot to add like toilet paper or something, which is a necessity. So in that case, it'd be, just fine to go grab it off the shelf if it's not on your list. So before, the most common splurges made at the grocery store usually occur when we're hungry. You always hear the phrase, don't shop on an empty stomach, because it's dangerous for your budget, obviously. So have a snack before you hit the aisles. For me, seeing all the delicious food in the store tends to make me hungry. If this happens to you, my advice would be to, just grab something healthy, like a quick snack, such as a banana or an apple, or my favorite, peanut butter crackers. Always plan to take your own shopping bags to use at checkout. It's the sustainable choice, obviously. Leaving your bags in your car will help you to not forget them. Also, some stores offer discounts if you use your own bags, which is great. So they're doing their part as well. Reusable bags tend to be larger. They can hold more items than the plastic paper bags that you see at the store. This can help make your trip easier, because there will be less to carry, less to load in and out of your car. Reusable bags just helps you do your part for the environment to eliminate plastic and paper waste. But most importantly, in the time of COVID-19, don't forget your cloth or disposable mask. Please help your community to eliminate the spread of the virus, practice social distancing, and don't forget your hand sanitizer. So you prepared for your shopping trip, and now you've gotten to the store and you're like, where do I go? Where's the healthy foods? How is the store laid out? So large supermarkets tend to all be laid out the same, and are just as follows. You walk in, you see the bakery, you see the deli, you go around to the produce, the dairy aisle, you see the meat section, and then the frozen aisle. And these are all located around the perimeter of the store. So these are the aisles you want to stay in. You try not to stray into the middle aisles, as they contain the highest amount of junk food and processed foods. So try to stay on the outside aisles as much as possible. So if you have snack foods inevitably on your shopping list, try to ration them out into individual serving sizes when you get home. This will help you to save money because you're buying in bulk. This will also help you to control your portion sizes, because you're putting them in, individual, maybe 1 or 2 ounce bags of chips is better. It'll help you just make sure you watch how much you're eating. The produce aisle here is where you want to spend the majority of your time while you're shopping. So this should be where you spend the most of your budget as well. Try not to buy more than you can eat in just a week, because the shelf life of fresh produce is very short. If you want to try to stretch your dollar, try not to buy pre-packaged produce. Anything that's been, pre-washed and chopped, has, that bulky container or bags. Try to just buy it in its whole form if you can. The plastic packaging drives up the cost on these items. So it's just not compatible with a sustainable shopping trip. If you feel like it's easier for you to buy, pre-chopped and all that produce, another tip I would suggest is to buy the whole form of the produce, get home, chop it, store some of your produce in the fridge for a quick and healthy snack, or it'll eliminate all the prep work for when you're making dinner, so it'll save time during the cooking process. You can also save anything that you don't think that you're going to eat right away in the freezer up to 3 months. So comparing the produce aisle to the frozen aisle, fruits and vegetables in the produce section are just as good as fresh produce. They will save you some money. They are available year round, and they also have a longer shelf life. So they're just as nutrient dense, just as good for you. So when it comes to choosing frozen produce over canned produce, however, canned fruits tend to have tons of added sugar. Vegetables have all this added sodium, salt. So lowering our sugar and salt intake is something we really want to do these days. And especially as we continue to get older, we want to eliminate this as much as possible. So lowering our sugar intake will help to decrease our risk of, like type 2 diabetes and obesity, and maybe just help to manage these diseases as well. Limiting sodium or salt will decrease our risk and help to manage other diseases like hypertension and heart disease. So pay attention to the fresh produce versus canned versus frozen. So when it comes to your groceries, you probably wondered about all those organic options out there, whether they're worth the extra cost, because they are pretty pricey. So while it is a sustainable way to eat, it's good for the environment as well as better for your body. There are a few things you should know before you spring for the organic option. So first, I just want to explain a little bit about what the organic labels mean that you see out there. For produce, organic means that the farmers just took the extra time into assuring that their products never had any synthetic pesticides sprayed on them. This doesn't mean that their produce is pesticide free. However, it just means that they use natural pesticides, or maybe just less amounts. 100% organic, this term is commonly seen on packaged or processed foods. It means every ingredient is certified organic by the USDA. Organic in this context means that food is free of artificial preservatives, colors, flavors. If you see this non-GMO project verified, this means that GMO means genetically modified organisms. This means that they've been altered in a lab to make them resistant to those pesticides. So whereas genetically engineered foods may not be necessarily bad for our health just by themselves, it's likely that they were sprayed with a lot more pesticides when they were growing. Before buying GMO, you want to think about how sustainable it is. So it's definitely less sustainable than purchasing organic, since organic foods are prohibited from using ingredients that contain GMOs. When you see the non-GMO project verified label, this means that the GMO project has tested the food, deemed that it's very low risk to contain GMOs. Moving on to animal products, such as beef, poultry, pork, dairy, eggs, you'll want to take the organic label very seriously in order to avoid the burdens of the industrial raised animal. These animals just had no quality of life. It's really sad if you watch any documentaries on it. They're fed questionable and dangerous products like growth hormones, antibiotics, their own byproducts. They are also, instead of given grass, they're given corn and grains to eat, which tends to make their meat fattier. The organic label on beef and dairy products should say 100% grass-fed, if you want to pay attention to that. For pork, poultry, and eggs, the label should say certified organic. So for pasture raised, I have a little diagram here. This is the difference between cage-free, free range, and pasture-raised chickens and their eggs. So if you want to make the switch to organic, but you're worried about the cost of, let's say, organic chicken breast, for example, then maybe look for a cheaper cut of the meat, like chicken thighs, with the organic label instead of buying just conventional chicken breast. And we had a question before we got started about what is the healthiest meats to buy. So I kind of ranked them here from healthiest to least healthiest to make it easy. All meat is a good source of protein. It has a high biologic value compared to plant protein, so it has all the different types of amino acids in it. It's also a great source of B vitamins compared to plants. So fish here, I think salmon is a great choice because it's rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are important for heart and brain health. It's low in calories. It has tons of vitamins and minerals, so I think that would be the best choice. Turkey would be the next on the list. Turkey meat is leaner and has fewer calories than chicken meat. Lean cuts of pork is slightly better than cuts of beef. It can be lower in saturated fat, sodium, and cholesterol, but notice that I said lean pork, so not sausage, not bacon or cold cuts. These are kind of just reserved for special occasions, right? Beef, on the other hand, is rich in B vitamins and it contains iron. However, the cattle production is very harmful to the environment. It's actually 10 times more harmful than any other animal industry out there. So choosing what to buy really depends on your health goals. You do not necessarily need to eliminate any or all of these, but remember that moderation is the most important thing we can change about our diet. So some considerations, you want to look at the cut of meat you're going to buy, the percent fat, how lean it is also. You're going to want to consider the cooking methods, so baking or grilling versus pan frying or deep frying. Whether you're using oil or butter, and also if it has the skin on, the skin tends to have high amounts of fat in it. It holds on to the oil also in the cooking process. So mix it up, make your meals with plant sources once in a while, or maybe even more if you'd like, make it the majority of your diet. It's better for you, it's better for your budget and the environment to limit the amount of animal products that you consume. If you've never tried venison, which is deer meat, I suggest that you do. I've tried it. It's really good. It's lean and it's really flavorful. It has a really low environmental impact. Also, if you've seen this product out there, it's new. It's called Beyond Meat, and I think it's at like Burger King too that they make. That's the Impossible, but it's at other fast food restaurants too. It's meatless and they have so many options. They have like these sausages you can put on the grill and hamburgers and fake chicken meat and taco meat. So it's really good. I actually had it for dinner last night. Another question we had is, what is a good way to track our calories and the amount of food we eat in the day? And all my professors recommend that we use Cronometer. I use this for about all of my classes for projects. I use it personally. And I think it's a little bit better than MyFitnessPal because it shows you all of these nutrients, not just your calories or your protein, but it shows you your vitamins, your minerals, the kind of fat you're eating, so saturated, trans fat, omega-3. Shows you how much fiber you're eating from your carbs. So I think this is a really good app, and it's on the web. So look that up. It's free to use. Yeah. So moving on to, or back to produce, these are some more tips if you want to make the switch to organic without going over your budget. Try buying the Dirty Dozen foods for now only as organic options. These are foods to be wary of because they usually need the most pesticides during the growing process. So try to buy these organic for now if you can. Things like strawberries, spinach, kale, and nectarines, apples, and grapes. And then the list continues on the next page. And this list was just recently updated this year, actually. So remember, the organic options mean that these foods were grown with either natural pesticides or in smaller quantities, such as at a small local farm to assure the highest quality possible. Another tip I would advise you is to buy these foods when they are in season to save a little extra money. You can buy organic peaches, strawberries, and spinach in the frozen section. And I like to do this and keep them in the freezer and make smoothies with these. Really good with strawberries and peaches and stuff like that. So here's the list. You know, hot peppers is the 13th of the Dirty Dozen to be aware of. The clean 15, on the other hand, are foods that pose the least risk as they have minimal amounts of pesticides. So you can buy avocados, sweet corn, pineapples, onions, papaya, sweet peas, and eggplant non-organically, and you'll be just fine. You can also get asparagus, cauliflower, cantaloupe, broccoli, mushrooms, cabbage, honeydew, and kiwi. But either way, if you're buying these organically or not, always wash all of your produce really, really well under clean running water. Don't just rinse it off real quick and think it's fine. There's probably some pesticide residue left on there. And not to mention, it's been in probably a lot of hands to get from the farm to the store to your home. So make sure to firmly but gently wash all of your produce with your hands. Use a vegetable scrub brush if you need to. This will obviously not completely eliminate all pesticide residue, but they will be minimized a great deal. You can peel some produce if you want to take a little bit extra precaution. You can peel things like potatoes, cucumber, just things like that. Okay, so we're getting into how to read a nutrition label. You don't want to just buy something because it has an outrageous health claim on the box, like low fat, low cal diet. Investigate the product, and you might be surprised about what you're putting into your body. Learning how to read and understand a nutrition facts label will help you make healthier choices at the supermarket. And I promise, once you get the hang of it, once you practice, it should only take you a few seconds to scan the label and make an informed decision. So to begin, a little overview on macronutrients. These are things like carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Most people need about 2,000 calories per day. 60% of these should come from carbs, 20% from protein, and less than 30% from fat. It's a common misconception that carbohydrates are bad. You see fad diets all the time saying eliminate carbs, eliminate fat. It's outrageous what people try to get you to buy into. We need the most of our calories from carbohydrates. So I promise, carbohydrates are not bad because they are used in the body for energy. The brain runs solely on energy, so carbohydrates are needed to keep you sharp and agile, keep you energized. So proteins are used to build muscle, keep your cells healthy, heal wounds. Fat, on the other hand, we don't need as much fat. We do need a little because it has essential fatty acids that we just can't survive without. We can't make ourselves. We have to ingest them. Fat is needed to absorb fat-soluble vitamins. So vitamins A, D, E, and K. These are found in all kinds of veggies. So, you know, put that fatty dressing on your salad. I promise it's not bad for you. Without a little fat in the diet, we would not be able to absorb these essential vitamins. Don't let anyone convince you that any of these macronutrients are bad. You know, we need them all to be healthy. So micronutrients, these are just the vitamins and the minerals like calcium, iron, sodium, B vitamins, vitamin C, so on. These are all necessary, but remember, we need them in different quantities. For example, we need to find healthy sources of calcium and vitamin B6. However, we want to limit our sodium or salt intake. So when you're shopping around and you see claims like these on an item, you want to be aware of what these claims actually mean. Do some investigative work and don't just believe any claim on the front of the box. These are just marketing and advertising tricks that they use to mislead the consumer into purchasing their, you know, healthy processed food or their junk food. For example, just because the item claims to be low fat doesn't mean that it's less calories, right? Because the fat content may indeed be low, but they probably replaced that component with another, like added sugar. An item may be low calorie, but you want to check the serving size. Serving sizes are usually deceptively small, right? Which is misleading if you tend to eat more than the box recommends. Terms like diet and low carb are probably replaced with some sort of artificial sweetener, which we want to avoid in excess, but again, moderation is fine. The term all natural may seem great, but it really just has no meaning. This is just a marketing scheme to get consumers to buy their junk food and think that it's altogether healthier. The term is not strictly regulated by the USDA or the FDA. It may contain GMOs or high fructose corn syrup as their main ingredients. This label is also not regulated by any other agencies for dairy, eggs, or meat products. So be sure to investigate carefully before buying into these health claims. Food manufacturers just started making the switch to the new food label just a few years ago. So the original label came out in 1994 and the new label just came out just a couple of years ago. Some differences that you might notice is that the serving size is bigger and bolder, and it's going to be more accurate to the amount that we actually eat instead of the amount that we should eat, right? Also, the calories are bigger, bolder. The first thing that you want to look at, sodium daily values changed. So instead of 2,400 milligrams, we now need 2,300 milligrams. So you want to make sure that you're eating maybe 150 milligrams or less at each mealtime, or on each serving, I should say. 150 milligrams or less of sodium. Added sugars, this is a new one on the new food label. It kind of just tells how much sugar has been added in the process of making this food, not just the natural sugars from starches, fiber, things like that. These added sugars have no nutrient value, just calories. Also, they changed the vitamins here. the vitamins and minerals. So they added vitamin D, they added potassium, and they took away vitamin A and C. And that's because as Americans, we are really not getting as much vitamin D and potassium as we should. So you want to make sure you're choosing foods high in these. Also, they kind of changed the look of the daily value information down here if you want to take a look at that. And that's about it for the new food label. So here's, I'll walk you through what to look at. So you want to start at the top, look at the serving first, because this size is what the rest of the label is based on. So this one says 2/3 cup, has 230 calories, and so on. Also remember, this may be unreasonably small. If you eat more than the suggested serving size, then you want to multiply by the amount that you eat to get a clear picture of what you're actually consuming. So let's say if you're eating, like, instead of 2/3 of a cup, you're eating double that amount. So you would double everything on the list. Let's see. So you want to make sure that you check out the calories compared to the serving size that you actually ate. Look at the total fat and pay close attention to saturated fat and trans fat, because this is what we want to try to stay away from in everything we eat, trans fat especially. So you see this says trans fat 0 grams. This could mean literally 0 grams, or it could mean less than 0.5 grams. So they rounded down instead of the usual rounding up. So this could be deceptive and misleading also. So just pay attention to your serving sizes again. You keep going, you'll see cholesterol. Dietary cholesterol is not as bad as we tend to think. So that's okay, 0 milligrams, no big deal. Sodium, again, we want to limit the amount of sodium per serving to less than 100 to 150 milligrams per serving. So pay attention to the size you're eating. Again, try to stay away from added sugars as much as possible. We want to increase our fiber intake, but we want to try to do that as much as we can from fresh fruits and vegetables. Okay. And then when you look at the nutrients, the micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals, make sure that you're getting enough vitamin D, calcium, potassium, and iron in your diet. These are really important. And then these daily values are again based on 2,000 calories, and you may be consuming less than that if you're trying to lose weight. And then look at here on the right side and you'll see how much you're consuming, the amount you're consuming, and how much you should be consuming per day. So here are some examples I have here, just, Cheerios, regular cereal. So you're looking at first your serving size, the calories, fat. So this is pretty good. It has these unsaturated fats, which you want to try to stick to in your diet. Okay, sodium, pretty low sodium content, good. 20 grams of carbs, but remember, that's because it's a grain, it's a starch, not necessarily a bunch of added sugar. So I have here a couple of pictures of canned versus frozen green beans. Remember, I told you that frozen is probably the better option. It's the way to go when you want to eliminate your sodium intake for vegetables. So here this can says it has 290 milligrams, and the serving size is a half a cup. Let's see, for the frozen, it is 3/4 of a cup or a half a cup prepared, and then the sodium 0 milligrams. So I think it's safe to say that the frozen green beans, if you prepare, maybe you steam them, is the better option because it has less sodium and it has the same amount of nutrients, same amount of calories pretty much. So frozen is definitely the way to go here. If you do buy canned, make sure that you rinse the can, the contents of it, rinse it all really good to try to minimize the amount of sodium when you cook it. So I have here a couple of different types of yogurt. So the one on the left is just any regular old flavored yogurt, probably has a little bit of like fruit chunks and some other sugars in it. And then the one on the right is plain, non-fat Greek yogurt. So the one on the left, it is 6 ounces. It has 140 calories. Let's see, it has 20 grams of carbohydrates and 19 from added sugar. So that's a lot. The one on the right, the Greek yogurt, however, is about the same amount. It's 1 cup. It is 130 calories, pretty much the same. No fat, like it says. It has potassium, good. No total carbohydrates, 10 grams, and 7 grams from the added sugar, or just the sugar in it. So it is half the sugar content of the one on the left. It is rich in protein. It has like double the amount of protein almost. It's a good source of calcium compared to the one on the left. So I think it's safe to say that we would probably choose the plain non-fat Greek yogurt compared to the flavored yogurt. If you want to sweeten it up, you can just add your own fruit, berries, granola maybe, stuff like that. Okay, so as Halloween approaches, I know you're probably wondering how much candy is too much, but when you think about it, granola bars versus candy bars, there's pretty big of a difference and not the way that you would expect. So it says here that there's 3 servings, so 3 mini Snickers bars has 130 calories. It has, let's see, 6 grams of fat, 17 grams carbs, right? But the one on the right is just 1 bar. It has 130 calories, exact same. It has 3.5 grams of fat, so a little bit less, not too big of a difference. But it has 28 grams of total carbohydrates, right? 10 grams of sugar. So I think if you're trying to choose which one, I mean, go ahead and snack on the Snickers. It's a little bit of a better option than choosing this Fiber One bar, especially now that Halloween is approaching. Like I said, this is probably not a good thing to eat before you work out. It's really low in protein. It's really high in carbohydrates. So here are this is my list of what they kind of mask sugar on the ingredients labels. This is all the other kind of names they have for artificial sugar that's been processed with the foods. So beware of these when you see the food labels and you're reading the ingredients list. Instead, you can choose to drink water, unsweetened beverages, like bubbly or LaCroix. Choose milk. As Americans, we're not drinking enough milk. And choose whole fruit or 100% fruit juice because these are natural sugars. They have fiber and vitamins and minerals also, not just calories. Limit your sweets and your desserts just to special occasions. And I think I'm going to wrap it up with this. Thank you so much. And please ask any questions if you have them. Review this webinar anytime at wellness.ua.edu. And remember these tips next time you go shopping, and you got this. So here are my references. And are there any questions? I'll give it over to Carolyn.
All right, thank you, Katie. We had a couple of questions. I've put them in the chat, but I just wanted to remind everybody that this is recorded and we will have it listed on our website under the Wellness Class Archives, so you can view it again. And again, if you have any questions, you can always submit us at a later time. Just email wellness@ua.edu. And everyone who attends this class today will get wellness class credit. That's always the question we get after the class. So, all right, that was great. Thank you so much, Katie. And thank you everybody for attending.